Two ginger harvests, same season, same soil, same hands that planted them. One came up thin and pale, rhizomes so small you could lose them in your palm. The other came out heavy and golden and thick, the kind that makes you stop digging and just hold one up and look at it. The difference was not the weather, not some product I bought, not a special variety. It was 4 decisions made before the rhizome touched soil, and during the months that followed, that most people who plant ginger never hear about. I planted ginger badly for years before I understood why it kept disappointing me. The quiet voice that said maybe I just wasn't good at this was not telling the truth. Ginger is not a difficult plant. It is one of the most generous things you can grow at home. But it fails early before it ever breaks the soil in ways completely invisible to the gardener doing everything right afterward. You could water correctly, give perfect light, wait 8 months, and dig up almost nothing. Because something went wrong at the very beginning that no amount of good care afterward could fix. Today, I want to show you what those decisions are and exactly what to do differently. The failure most ginger growers never trace back to its source starts at the market. If you have ever picked up a knob of ginger from a conventional grocery store, brought it home, pressed it into soil, watered it faithfully for weeks, and had nothing emerge or had something emerge that stayed weak and pale and never amounted to much, this is almost certainly why conventional store-bought ginger is treated with a growth suppressant. Before it reaches the shelf, the treatment is deliberate. It keeps rhizomes looking fresh for weeks without sprouting or shriveling, which is exactly what a grocery store needs. What it means for your garden is that the rhizome you plant is chemically instructed not to wake up. You can water it, warm it, give it perfect conditions, and it will sit there while you wonder what you did wrong. The answer is that the rhizome was never going to respond. The fix is simple and non-negotiable. Always start with organic ginger. Organic rhizomes have not been treated, and the moment you give them warmth and good soil, they respond exactly the way they are supposed to. Once you have organic ginger in your hands, the selection matters. Pick pieces that feel genuinely heavy, and that weight is stored moisture, which is the energy the rhizome burns through during the first critical weeks before its roots can feed themselves. A lightweight piece is already depleted before it is planted. Set it aside and find a heavier one. Then look at the surface and count the growth buds, those small raised nubs on the skin. Each bud is a future shoot, and each shoot feeds the underground rhizomes forming across the season. More buds now means more ginger at harvest, directly and mathematically. Choose the pieces with the most buds, and you are already ahead of most home growers before you have done a single other thing. Now comes the step that almost nobody does, and the one I believe makes the most significant difference in how quickly and vigorously the plant establishes. Before your rhizomes touch soil, give them what I think of as a reawakening soak. Fill a bowl with room temperature water and add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar per liter. Ginger evolved in tropical rainforests where rainfall is naturally slightly acidic. This small addition recreates that chemistry and sends a signal the rhizome recognizes at a biological level. It also works as a gentle, natural antifungal, cleaning the surface of the rhizome before it enters the soil. Soak for 10 to 14 hours minus overnight is perfect. While the rhizome sits in that bowl, it is rehydrating at a cellular level, the growth buds are swelling, dormancy is lifting, and the ginger is beginning to wake up before it has touched a single grain of soil. After the soak, lay your rhizomes on a clean, dry surface in a warm, airy spot and wait 1 to 2 days for the cut surfaces to callus over. Any place the rhizome was broken or cut during handling is an open wound that needs to seal before planting. Without that callus, moisture enters the wound the moment you plant, bacteria follow, and rot begins before the first shoot has formed. When the cut ends, look dry and slightly darker, that seal has formed. Now you are ready. If you are already thinking about the ginger you planted before that did not perform the way you hoped, if this is explaining something that was previously unexplained, leave me a comment and tell me what happened. I asked genuinely, I read every comment that comes in, and those responses consistently help me understand what to explain better or cover next. This is still a small enough channel that those conversations are real. And I want to keep it that way. Your container choice shapes the entire harvest before a single root forms. Ginger does not grow downward, it travels outward. The rhizomes spread horizontally just beneath the surface, expanding in all directions as the season progresses. This means width matters far more than depth. Aim for at least 35 to 40 centimeters across, and make sure drainage holes are clear. Ginger loves consistent moisture but cannot survive sitting in it. Standing water around the rhizomes will cause rot far more reliably than anything else you could do wrong. Build your soil mix with intention. 2 parts quality potting mix for structure and drainage, 1 part aged compost, not fresh, aged for the microbial life that feeds your plant quietly across the entire growing season. Fresh compost can burn roots. Aged compost is stable, broken down, and alive in the way that feeds rather than harms. 1 part coarse perlite for the air pockets roots need as much as they need water, and to ensure excess moisture drains away rather than pooling. Before you fill the container, work in 1 generous handful of bone meal. Bone meal is rich in phosphorus. And phosphorus is the mineral your ginger uses to build dense, heavy rhizomes underground. Without enough phosphorus, energy goes into the leaves above. With it, energy goes into what you are actually trying to harvest. Now plant, and plant shallower than your instincts tell you to, 3 to 5 centimeters below the surface, barely covered. It will feel too shallow. Plant there anyway. Ginger is a surface plant. Its rhizomes belong near the top of the soil, not buried beneath it too deep. And the weight of soil above makes it harder for shoots to push through. Too deep, and the consistently moist environment deeper in the pot creates exactly the conditions rot thrives in. Place each piece with the growth buds facing upward. They are already reaching toward the light, and you want to work with that direction rather than against it. Space multiple rhizomes, 15 to 20 centimeters apart. What looks like wasted space now will be filled with ginger by harvest time. Cover gently without compacting, then lay mulch across the entire surface, straw, dried leaves, or wood chips about 2 centimeters thick. This 1 layer locks in moisture, stabilizes soil temperature through cool nights, and protects those shallow rhizomes during the vulnerable early weeks. 3 jobs from 1 simple step that takes about 30 seconds. Subscribe if you want to follow where this goes. I cover growing practices from traditional and functional approaches that I find genuinely useful. And there is a lot more I want to share on ginger and other plants that most people give up on too. Quickly, I am not asking to build a number. I am asking because if this kind of thing holds your attention, I think you will find the next one worth your time. Watering is where the most careful gardeners make a consistent mistake, and it is almost always in the direction of too much. Your goal is soil that feels like a wrung-out sponge, damp throughout, never soaking, never bone dry. Before you water, push your finger 2 centimeters into the soil, still moist at that depth. Come back tomorrow. Dry at that depth, water slowly and evenly until it trickles from the drainage holes below. Bottom watering, setting the container in a shallow tray of water for 20 to 30 minutes and letting the soil draw. Moisture upward is worth doing when you can. It keeps the surface drier, which reduces surface mold and trains roots to grow downward toward the moisture rather than staying near the top. That root structure builds a stronger, more resilient plant overall. For light, ginger wants soft morning sun and afternoon shade. Harsh midday intensity bleaches the leaves and stresses the plant. Let the leaves tell you whether the balance is right. Yellowing edges and pale patches mean too much direct sun. Tall, thin stems reaching toward the light mean not enough. Deep green, upright, full leaves with no yellowing or bleaching. That is your target, and once you have it, maintain it. Feeding matters more in the second half of the growing season than the first. Every 2 to 3 weeks from late summer onward, apply a liquid fertilizer higher in phosphorus and potassium than nitrogen. Nitrogen builds foliage. Phosphorus and potassium build rhizomes, which is what you are growing. Compost tea, aged compost compost, steeped in water for 24 hours and strained, is the most effective and gentle option. Every application adds to the microbial activity in the soil, and that activity compounds across the season in ways a synthetic fertilizer cannot replicate. 8 to 10 months from planting, the leaves will yellow on their own and the stems will begin pulling back toward the soil. That is your signal. Dig carefully from the outer edges inward as the soil falls away from the roots. You will find them heavy, golden, fragrant rhizomes, some as large as your hand, all grown from one small prepared piece that you gave the right start. That first one you lift and hold is worth every hour of the wait. If you try this and want to tell me what your harvest looked like or what went differently from the last time you grew ginger, I genuinely want to hear it. Those honest reports are what makes this worth doing for both of us. And if someone in your life has given up on ginger after a disappointing season, share this with them. The plant did not fail. The start did, and the start is completely fixable. I will see you in the next one.